Hello everyone, my name is Mirhat Sharibjan and welcome to Eurasian Express. Today we're going to talk about Kazakhstan, namely about the new constitution introduced recently in this Central Asian nation. Since 2022, Kazakh President Kassym-Jomart Toqaev promised that he would serve one 7-year term and leave the office in 2029. That promise was essential. I would say it was central to the image of what he called a new Kazakhstan project, which he announced 4 years ago. But this week, Kazakhstan's constitutional court has opened a new political door. I would say an old political door or maneuver known for millions in the post-Soviet space for years. According to the Constitutional Court's interpretation, officials elected under the old constitution may run again under the new constitutional framework. The new constitution, initiated by Toqaev himself, was adopted in mid-March by a referendum questioned by many in Kazakhstan and beyond. It came into force on the 1st of July, just last week. The Constitutional Court's announcement came several days later, less than a week later. In practical terms, this means Toqaev, who is 73 now, may be able to run again in 2029 and stay in power until 2036. Then he will be 83. Sounds familiar, doesn't it? And there is no doubt that he will, quote-unquote, win. And it is absolutely likely that he will choose to take part in the, quote-unquote, election. The situation very much reminds the one in Russia in 2020, when Vladimir Putin's previous presidential terms were cancelled following constitutional amendments that allowed him to get elected again and stay in power until 2036. Again, 2036. What a coincidence. After the bloody January 2022 unrest in Kazakhstan, which weakened Toqaev's predecessor Nursultan Nazarbaev's old system, Toqaev promised reforms, renewal, more freedoms, and a presidency limited to 7-year term, the single 7-year term. That was supposed to prevent Kazakhstan from returning to the model of one man ruling for decades. That was the case with Nursultan Nazarbaev, who ran the country for 30 years. As I mentioned earlier, constitutional resets have a familiar history in the post-Soviet space. Leaders like to change the rules, change constitutions, introduce constitutional amendments, declare a new beginning, and then argue that previous terms no longer count. And here is why this matters beyond Kazakhstan. In recent years, Kazakhstan has become more important to the United States because of critical minerals, especially tungsten, a metal essential for defense, aerospace, semiconductors, and heavy industry. Reuters agency reported earlier that US firm Cove Capital reached a deal to develop major tungsten projects in Kazakhstan with a 70% stake in the venture, and possible US government financing of up to $900 million. The project is designed to reduce American dependence on China, which dominates global tungsten supply. The Financial Times also reported recently that a company linked to Donald Trump's sons sought additional US government financing for the Kazakh tungsten's project, while noting that they were described as passive investors and that there was no indication they knew about future government backing when investing. This raises a serious political question. If Kazakhstan offers strategic minerals, profitable contracts, and geopolitical access in Central Asia, will Washington seriously challenge Toqaev over democracy and term limits? The Trump administration's foreign policy has made one thing very clear. Deals come first. Whether the partner is democratic or not often matters less than whether the agreement serves American business interests or strategic interests. And it looks like Toqaev understands this perfectly well. Kazakhstan is sandwiched between the Russian bear and Chinese dragon. It has oil, uranium, tungsten, rare earth minerals, and strategic geography. For the West in general and for Washington in particular, Kazakhstan is not only a partner, it is a doorway into Central Asia. Toqaev, who is an experienced professional diplomat and old-school politician, certainly uses this to deepen his skillful maneuvering between the West, Russia and China. Toqaev has not yet announced that he will run again in 2029, but it looks like the legal path is now open. And it also looks like the main goal of the idea of constitutional changes was to create such a legal path. And if the West is focused on minerals, railways, and contracts, Kazakhstan's constitutional transformation may receive far less pressure than it deserves. Last week, European Union Ambassador to Kazakhstan, Aleshka Simkic, told journalists in Astana that Toqaev's recent visit to Brussels was a reinforcement of Kazakhstan's strategic partnership with the European Union, emphasizing cooperation on critical raw materials again and other sectors. It looks like the European Union leaders have also chosen a pragmatic approach to the cooperation with Kazakhstan, putting such issues as human rights, democratic values, and civic freedoms aside. So it looks like the real question here is not just whether Toqaev stays in power until 2036, breaking his own promises and assurances he gave to Kazakh citizens when announcing his new Kazakhstan project 4 years ago. The real issue now is how power, mineral resources, and international deal-making are coming together in Kazakhstan. Toqaev changes the constitution apparently to preserve his power until 2036. He does it almost without any criticism from the international community, knowing that he has something important to offer to the West. And it looks like it will work, as the West looks to be ready to push democracy aside once again in the name of strategic interests, especially when Russia's ongoing invasion of Ukraine has changed geopolitical and security architecture in Eurasia, and China continues to rise, creating economic and political challenges to the United States. It was Eurasian Express. Thank you for listening. Please share your thoughts on the issue. What do you think about it? Can so-called realpolitik approaches be justified by geopolitical and economic demands? Also, please like this video, share it with your friends. See you next time.